So at that point, I just kind of assumed like, okay, like if I wasn't getting calls and wasn't getting looked at by scouts before this and didn't get a draft call, that probably isn't going to be the thing that does it either.
I was going in the day thinking I needed to throw 94, 95, or I didn't even have a shot at getting signed. And through the pen, I think I topped 93.5.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But like I left that like, damn, that was just wasn't very good.
I said, if you want, you can just drop me off at the facility. And so I get a police escort to tread.
All right, guys, welcome to Tread Athletics Podcast. Today we have Dylan Cumming and Grant Umberger with us, both Chicago White Sox guys. We're just going to be talking through some of their processes. They've both been tread athletes for a decent amount of time now. We'll just kind of hear their stories and kind of go from there. So now, 2026, heading into pro season approaching, and for y'all, a little less than 2-3 weeks. How has the offseason looked for you in general?
Yeah, this will be my fourth spring training, 3 with the Giants, first actual spring training with the White Sox with Grant. Excited. Went through a lot of unique kind of changes through the offseason of trying to tweak things that I hadn't tweaked before with my mechanics and just some pitch shapes and trying to dial in things that had been good in the past, but I would like to, make them great. So working on things like sinker shape, sweeper velocity and things like that, on top of just, getting into the classic off-season hobbies, playing some guitar, some Pokemon collecting. I know you're a Pokemon guy, so just occupying my time the way you can.
Okay, you got any sick pulls, sick cards from
Not
the off
super
season?
sick pulls this off-season, but the Charizard EX 151. Those who know, they know.
They do know.
That's my holy grail so far.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like any Pokemon yourself, Grant?
No, I could never get into it. I tried. When we were in a performance camp in the fall, my roommate, shout out Jonathan Clark, he's a huge Pokemon collector, and they tried to get me to open a pack, like big pack rips or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't.
You just couldn't get into
Couldn't
it.
buy in.
Do you like baseball cards, football cards?
I collected them when I was a kid, but I just don't take care of those things well enough where they're going to get dirty. They're going to get broken. It's not, to keep a card, to keep its value, that's just not going to happen.
That's not your thing.
Yeah.
What's your off-season go-to, hobbies?
Really, I'll just play some video games and watch movies. I live by myself, so, make food and stuff like that, and then, hang out with people.
Greatest movie of all time, what is it?
Greatest movie of all time?
You're a movie
I'm a
guy.
huge, I love Batman, so, I'm going to have to go, The Dark Knight.
That's classic.
What about you?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't claim to be a movie guy.
Yeah.
No. I mean, Shawshank Redemption's good.
Yeah.
Classic. I love No Country for Old Men.
Oh, wow.
Classic. Godfather. Can't go wrong with that.
Okay.
How about you?
I wouldn't say I'm a movie guy. I watch movies.
I've watched movies.
Yeah.
I can't watch movies more than once. I feel like once I've seen the plot and everything, I'm
I'm the same
kind
way.
of over it.
I'm the same way.
But this year, I got really into the Marvel movies randomly.
Okay.
I've never been much of a just that type of movie. I usually watch action. I like some aggressive movies. But then I started watching all the Iron Mans again, a lot of those, and honestly kind of in now.
Yeah,
now,
there you
I'm not going to get the cards of the Marvel guys, but I like those movies in general.
I did that. I got into Stranger Things for the first time this
Huge,
offseason.
great show.
Never seen it before, and started it because I had time on my hands, and I watched all they hadn't dropped the second half of season 5 yet. I watched every single episode up until that point in 8 days. It was an obsession.
So they're just training and then watching Stranger Things.
It'd be wake up, make breakfast, watch an episode, go train, come back immediately to the couch and watch the episode.
At least you're not getting into trouble at that point.
No, I mean I was doing all the right things. I was locked in, huge fan.
Okay.
There's something I don't think I've ever asked you about. When you started tread, were you coming out of college right away, or were you trying to be in pro ball, or were you in pro ball before you started tread?
No, I started tread after my sophomore year.
Okay.
Because I didn't really know what I was doing almost.
Yeah. And
it was underperforming at Virginia Tech. And I was like, all right, I need to help myself out a little bit. So I joined. That's when I joined tread.
Yeah. Gotcha. What was the main thing of underperforming? Just stats weren't great, or?
A little bit of everything. I mean, wasn't throwing a lot of strikes, inconsistent velocities. Just didn't really know how to be my own pitching coach at the time, because it's I was in the ACC at the time, so it's kind of you have your coach, but he's not going to help you out all individually, so you got to be able to do it yourself. and that's kind of one of the bigger reasons why.
Yeah, kind of like, especially if you're not one of their guys, like you're not going to get hands-on all the time. I got you. So you're at Virginia Tech. Was that the only school you went to?
No, my senior year I went to Toledo.
In
the MAC.
That's right.
Yeah.
How was that?
I enjoyed it a lot.
Yeah.
It's really, really cold, but you're never going to be able to go to a Tuesday night football game.
Yeah.
In college and in the MAC. So it was pretty.
Some action.
You're sitting there drinking hot cocoa and it's snowing out on a Wednesday and you're watching a football game. It's pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. That is tight. So, I mean, off of that, kind of give, and we'll get to Dillings in a second, like I obviously have more of an understanding of yours since I've been with it pretty much since the beginning. Give like your little timeline of, like you said, at Virginia Tech, underperforming, and then moving from Virginia Tech to Toledo, obviously going into pro day. Just kind of give that timeline of like how that looked for you both process wise, everything that kind of encompassed in reality, going from a very underperforming, not really knowing what you're going to do, to like in reality strikeout king in Kannapolis this year. Like kind of give us a synopsis of all that.
I mean, I was at Virginia Tech underperforming and then got my stuff together. That junior year, like, kind of had to be perfect to, like, stay or, like, do well, and gave it my best shot, wasn't. So then, obviously, got cut after my junior year, and then went to Toledo, really just played, like, hey, this is the last year of baseball kind of mentality, like, might as well just throw as many innings as possible. Did that, then went to the draft league after that season, and we worked on a couple. I think I started throwing like the kick change that summer. Got comfortable, had a good summer, and that lined me up for pro day in the winter. And then
talk about the pro day too, because like I know we talked about it before you'd gotten signed. Like it felt like I said, like almost a little underwhelming when you did the pro day, but still being able to like, I mean, it got you the opportunity of the White Sox. So kind of talk about how like what you thought you needed compared to what you did and how it still got you to the place you are now.
Yeah, I thought I was going in the day thinking I needed to throw 94, 95, or I didn't even have a shot at getting signed. And through the pen, I think I topped 93.5.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But like a lot of like upper 92s, low 93s. And I mean, I filled up the strike zone, but I left that like, damn, that was just wasn't very good. And then obviously a few days later, you know, I ended up signing with the White Sox, but the immediate feeling was, damn, I didn't do enough to.
And I think that's when you can go into like the idea of when a lot of people, especially from my perspective as a coach, like everybody wants to throw, they want a PR on pro day, right? Everybody wants to throw the hardest possible, but also understand that like if you are not executing at a high clip, if you're not mixing and matching, I mean, obviously now we do lives, but at that point it was just a bullpen. So it's like I have to show that like, oh, if I want fastball in or if I want slider in, like I have to execute a high clip. And I thought you did a tremendous job that day of that. But it's like remembering more or less that like everything matters when you want to be at the top, is like the top level, and thinking that you can just, in reality, like, let's say you threw 95 and sprayed, you probably don't have a job right now. You know what I mean? Or like you might have, but it's like the idea of coming from college to where a little bit older, so I'm not a junior draft guy, like I need to show a more refined version of myself to, in reality, these teams. It's like, oh, like he can immediately go into affiliated ball and pitch and have success. And in reality, at that point, you can do whatever you want to do now. But, you know, like when I think of that, I look back and I'm like, I was the same way. I was very underwhelmed because I was like, damn, I was like, I thought for sure you'd be 4 to 5. It's like, damn, 2 to 3 pound of the zone. And it's like, well, damn, like, same thing. You take a look back a couple years previously where it's like, damn, he only threw a fastball and had no real idea what he was doing. And now it's like, damn, he's got 3 or 4 pitches pitching. You know, it's like it was cool to see it from that perspective, and then kind of like turning that into you threw in pro day in 2023.
Yeah, January 23. Yeah, I was gonna say it. For me, it was in a similar boat. I had just finished my 5th year of college. I was a starter all 5 years. Threw a crap load of innings in college at D1. Kind of a little bit of a side crazy story. It was at Chicago State, one of the bottom 10 schools in the country for 3 years. We were like 10-40 every single year. Not good. Not good. I was our Friday/Saturday guy for most of the time there. Program gets cut during COVID. Transfer to Liberty, and then Liberty, we ended up being a ranked team my senior year there. We were like top 15 at one point. Like just a completely shift of the level of play that I was playing at. But learning a ton, starting to realize, like, okay, you know, maybe there's a chance that I could play pro ball at some point. Had some looks my senior year, but nothing ended up coming from it. Went to the Appy League, threw in there, but in pro day it was the same thing. It was like, okay, I've got this track record of throwing for 5 years. They kind of know what I look like. Like these scouts know me, and they know exactly what's going to be expected. So in my mind, was in the same boat of like, okay, it's going to have to be at least like 93 plus, like sitting 93 plus, flashing something they haven't seen before. So me and my coach, Ryan Kirk, we were kind of just like hammering at it, like gain weight, throw hard. Like they already know you throw strikes. We just really need to throw hard. And I get to my my pro day, and I'm like 90, 92 at the most, I think I was. And I threw a decent amount of strikes. If it was any other pen, there was no pros there, or no pro scouts there, I think I still would have been upset with my bullpen. Like honestly, like I just thought it was a very mid bullpen.
Okay.
And so I walked away a little bit upset. Even Kirk kind of like looked at me like, could have been better.
Yeah.
Could have been better. And so at that point, I just kind of assumed like, okay, like if I wasn't getting calls and wasn't getting looked at by scouts before this and didn't get a draft call, that probably isn't going to be the thing that does it either. So I was kind of looking for some indie ball teams. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but just, preparing for a little bit of a shift in my reality of where I thought I was going to end up.
Mm-hmm.
And that comes down to the thing that I tell people all the time, the guys who have yet to throw in a pro day, and they're like, asking like, hey, you got signed. Like I've had this a couple of times where athletes will say like, you got signed. What was the difference for you? And I'm like, honestly, the thing that I thought wasn't going to make the difference made the difference. And it was track record, strike throwing, consistency, health. It was all these things that I had done for 5 years that didn't get me signed, that then showing myself in pro day to like, I guess, kind of get my face to new people, ended up being like when I had my phone call with the Giants, it came down to, hey, we really like your stuff, which I was always told by scouts, like, we like your stuff, but throw too slow, whatever. He's like, we really like your stuff, and we love that, like, you don't miss outings, you've been consistent, you throw strikes, and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, so like the velo had no factor in me getting signed, which is like all I thought was going to matter.
Right.
So I think just kind of realizing that there's so much more at play for getting signed. Like it's not just I've got good stuff. If I throw hard, I can get drafted or I can get signed.
It's not
and
easy.
Yeah, and you watch, there's 130 plus guys in our pro days this year, and a lot of them won't get signed out of it, which is unfortunate. But at the end of the day, it's the reality of there's so much more at play than just your velo.
Yes, it's never just like a one-day thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Never.
There's stuff beforehand. And like you said, even the guys that might not get signed in that singular moment, if they did perform well, now at least their name did not get crossed off. Now it's still there. They continue to show that success. They can still like find that avenue, right? It might not be the one that they expected, but they can still be found. And I want to kind of hit on like what you said about like your arsenal, because like you were very much like way more kind of east-west, low three-quarter guy. He's more kind of, not say stock lefty, just big lefty.
Yeah.
So kind of talk about like shapes of everything. Like what do you kind of work with? Like what is the arsenal right now? And just like, how did you find like your own uniqueness about you comparatively to, I'm sure you probably had guys at some point in your career telling us, hey, like probably need to do something more to maybe gain more velo. Just kind of talk about that process.
Yeah, definitely. So an east-west guy, I'm throwing from a low 3/4 slot, almost sidearm. And for me, I always wanted to like have that be my anchor of like, I'm going to be an east-west guy. That's my anchor. I go sinkers, sliders. That's my two main things. Changeup throughout college got better and better to that. That's one of my main go-to pitches now. But the last few years, the improvements we've been trying to make is getting lefties out at a higher clip and not getting damage to lefties, because that was a kind of a battle for me the last few years. And so being able to expand from just this profile of left and right, and maybe being able to shoot something that has more depth or show a fastball that has a little bit more life than my sinker, that's kind of where we're at. We're shifting my arsenal, and I'm pretty excited about it. I'm excited to see where it goes. Throwing a little bit of a harder off-speed pitch right now, so just adding new tools to the tool belt to try to attack hitters that maybe gave me trouble in the past. Always was a guy who, I love righties. I love facing righties.
Sure.
Low slot, far on the third base side. My pitches are coming out from behind them, so it's like if I have problems with righties, that's a problem. But yeah, attacking lefties, it was mainly like the main goal this last even couple off seasons of, okay, what can we do to try to attack lefties in a different way?
Okay. What about you, Grant? And let's kind of, I think for you, like he already was kind of more of a refined pitcher in college. Let's talk about more of your expansion from, like I said, FET, mainly throwing fastballs to now having more 3-4 pitch arsenal. Kind of talk about your evolution, because I think you found a lot of it at Toledo. Like, talk about that, and then in reality heading into pro ball, kind of like goals of this offseason they kind of gave you. Just kind of give us your rundown.
Yeah, it definitely happened at Toledo, and we started doing like scripted bullpens at Toledo, and I'll always remember it is we had a 2-strike pen, and I was like, oh, I strike a lot of people out. Like, going into that, I was like, this is gonna be fun, and it was one of the worst bullpens I've ever had. Like, you'd be like, execute the slider down or a fastball up, and it was like, it would be out of 35, and I think I scored like 12 out of 35. And like, I walked away like, dang, I guess I'm really not that good at striking people out and just get lucky.
Yeah.
And then that kind of like changed the focus of like, now it was like, all right, you got to execute sliders in this spot, you got to execute changeups, and then we would just kind of mess with the arsenal, like develop the kick, like getting more pitches that were more comfortable to throw in the strike zone, and then they're also still moving at the same time. So just evolving that, but it all, like, the foundation started from Toledo.
Yeah.
That's something that I have thought about before too, and have had conversations with like upper level coaches in pro ball as well as other players. That's something that really separates people that they don't really think about, especially if you're at a lower level college where maybe you strike out 190 guys. You're like, I'm the man. Like, I strike out everybody. Or even in low A, for example, like, you strike out a bunch of people. High can even have some of this where you get a bunch of strikeouts and you think your stuff's nasty. But the true tell is like strikeouts in zone. Like getting whiffs in zone is one of the biggest tells of like if someone's actually got good stuff or if they just think they have good stuff and they're getting lucky or facing bad hitters. And that was something that you just reminded me of that because there was just been times in the past where I'm like thinking like my stuff's nasty. Like guys can't hit my stuff, but in reality it's like, okay, their swing decisions are like 20% below average. And they're like, yes, I'm fooling them at a higher clip than the average person. But like as you go up the ranks, like
it doesn't
that
play.
Stops working as much as it does when you're facing low A hitters.
And I think, I mean, that kind of piggybacks of, I mean, Mr. K King in low A, right? So it's like, even with that, and it's like your walks weren't high either. What did the White Sox tell you specifically was like your main objective this offseason?
Really just to kind of evolve all after like what last year. Like I remember at the end of the year, because I spent a lot of time in low A, we started like hitting the triangle and like fastballs top, change up, like wherever here, slider, glove side, and just like hitting those spots like within the strike zone too to like create like the separation. So it was just evolve that, and then obviously one of the goals was get something that moves a little more sideways on like a breaking ball.
Yeah. I mean, I think like overall, the way you attacked this offseason, like, I mean, I've been very happy with it. I said we'll talk about your side in a second, but I remember for you, I think this goes back to Toledo. This goes back to like all of our years together. And like, I know you did the interview a long time ago, but it was like, what really was the unlock for you inside training was like, hey, some type of consequence or some type of just like objective to go about your work so it doesn't feel so monotonous. And like I said, when it comes to what you've done this offseason, I just think it's funny when I look back of like all the ideas like, hey, create the bigger slider, which for the most part you've done pretty well at. And then it was like, okay, execute it, glove side down pretty consistently, right? So it's like trying to refine our just like locations. And then it's like, okay, now you have the guy come in. It's like, hey, what if we did like backdoor slider? And it's like, okay, same idea. Haven't worked on it that much. A little bit different feel. Obviously, it's in my mind the evolution of you as a pitcher to be able to do both. But I think sometimes in the grand scheme of things, I say like most of us as pitchers is like we try to refine too many things at once. So nothing ever actually gets refined. It's like being able to, it's like, okay, I can, let's just say bottom, third, inside to a righty, like execute that at very high clips. Like, okay, once you do that, now you can start to expand to the backdoor one. But it's like if you can never get it glove side consistently, and now you're also trying to do the other one too, you're just fighting yourself trying to like kill two birds with one stone. In reality, nothing's getting killed. You're just going to be very mid at both, which doesn't play, right? It's like thinking back to how do you get double A, triple A, pro, or like major league guys, it's the end zone stuff. It's actually seeing stuff that like looks in zone for as long as possible, comes out of the zone, they swing, compared to the low A rookie ball stuff where it's like, hey, like you got a lot of free swingers. It's way easier if your stuff just looks good on paper to get a lot of those, but like being able to, I guess, elevate the execution style. In reality, for the most part, like in my mind, majority of pros have some level of like, I'm not saying consistency, but like everybody throws relatively around the same deal, relatively around the same stuff. It's like at that point, if you want to keep going, how high can you execute at that clip? And that's what separates the low A prospects to the AA, AAA pro guy, or like not pro guys, but major league guys, because their execution level becomes so much higher. You know, so with that in mind, for you too, like I said, switching up Arsenal a little bit this offseason, what is kind of like the main things you're kind of focusing on leading into these last 2.5 weeks before you leave?
Yeah. Well, actually, I'll even grab a ball here. The biggest thing for me in the last couple weeks, which actually was kind of like an accidental thing we started working on, my sweeper has always been a big slow pitch. It's always been like mid to upper 70s on average, touched like 80, 81 at one point, but for the most part, it's been consistently in the upper 70s. And this big, slow kind of like arcing pitch, there wasn't really much of a sharp shape. It was more just this big sweeping shape. And just messing around with random grips and switching, I think it's called the whirly grip. Yeah. Switched around, just was messing with that just to like see what it would do. And that alone like just has made it so much more consistent to throw hard, like low 80s consistently rather than upper 70s. So that's been something that we've been working on. Basically just, I guess for the people who don't know what that is, just basically splitting the fingers up more and putting some sideways like torque into that seam on the 2-seam grip. For whatever reason, for me, it just feels like I'm more behind the baseball, even though I'm still in reality getting way on the side of it. Because that's my main thing with the sweeper is I've always been a guy I'm thinking slider, but in reality, I'm literally throwing a curveball, like a popping out curveball from over there. So it appears to sweep, but in reality, it's a curveball from my arm slot. So finding a way to get another finger behind it while still feeling that sweeper shape, for whatever reason, has made it really easy to control, as well as throw it a lot harder and have more confidence that if I need to like dump this in, I can. Yeah. So that's been something that we've been messing with. The sinker was the other one that we tweaked this year. I went from kind of an offset and fingers together sinker shape to a more standard, like on the rails sinker shape to try to increase the efficiency and just be more behind it. Now, when I say behind it, I'm not saying like riding it like this, because I physically can't do that for my arm slot. But for my arm slot, getting behind it is basically straight across the side of it and spinning it horizontally, which not only drops the vert a little bit, but gets a ton more horizontal, which inevitably is just harder to hit than if it's less and less. So, so those are my two main things. The changeup is pretty much just a normal changeup. I just kind of evenly spread my fingers across it, and my pressure is all on this middle finger. I do try to pronate that pitch and almost get like far out in front of it to allow my hand time to get over top. So like my best ones are a little bit screwball-y. My average ones are more like straight horizontal. But yeah, those are the main things. And then the 4-seam, pretty standard. Just try to get as much, torque behind it as I can and get that somewhat of a lift as I can from that arm slot. So even like 10 vert for me is
what is
like
the profile of that?
Yeah, so like my good ones will get like 12 to 15, and that's like a really good one. The average is like 10, which if my sinker is doing what it should be at like 0 to 3 vert, then that's still a big enough difference if I get to the top of the zone to, hopefully get a swing and a miss and just show a different look. So dialing that in, trying to be more consistent with that and making sure that it doesn't leak down, because if that pitch does leak down, it tends to start to tail down, which is just basically a bad sinker at that point. So that's what we've been working with. And then I throw a curveball to lefties sometimes too, where I try to just basically throw a sweeper with more depth. The idea is it's going to keep its horizontal. I can't get rid of that. But if I can go from, like a 0-line sweeper to a -10 sweeper, vert-wise, that is, just a different look for the lefty hitter and kind of gets below that bat path rather than kind of tracking into it as some of my sweepers would if I throw them to a lefty.
Okay. And we'll get to you in a second. I am curious from your side, Dylan, when you were feeling out the 4-seam, because like you said, the 10 average up to 15, when you see that on a TrackMan report, right? Like most people be like, oh, like that's not a very good 4-seam. So were you using like TrackMan, for example, using BAA stuff, top of the zone to feel out what is the best for it? Or how were you kind of figuring out that this would be a very good weapon in my arsenal to use?
Yeah, I think honestly it even started out just in catch play, messing with it. When this was actually my first year when I got to call up to Richmond AA with the Giants. Just felt like I needed something to flash to a lefty that wasn't a sinker, because the sinker just consistently felt like a pitch that I had to be perfect with, which I feel like a lot of pitchers in general have this feeling of like, oh, I've got to be perfect or else it's getting hit right now, and I don't know, like, how do I get out of this weird mojo of like, I have to dot this or it's smacked or a ball. And with sinker guys, especially with lefties, like the sinker typically is going to be a pitch that's falling into a lefty's bat path. It's naturally going to have not enough sink to get below or not enough ride to get above, which it wouldn't be a sinker at that point. But so for me, it was always like, if I don't dot this thing in a rail, or throw it basically just off the black of the outer part of the plate, it's a useless pitch because now it's hard of the plate, moving into their bat path and allowing them to get hit. So for me, it was like experimenting with things even just in catch play of what can I do to get away from that bat path on a heater. And just kind of seeing it visually, even out of the hand from like 60, 75 feet, I could tell there was a difference. And I guess just taking that in mind with the thought of this could be something I could use to lefties from my low slot, then coming in-house and working on it, basically just trying to get it as high as I could without compromising my arm slot and not trying to get too high of like hiking it up to make that shape and force it. But we've actually kind of found even too, being at the lower slot and almost kind of getting like a slice around it instead of saying behind it, actually will get it more vert and more like perceived ride. So yeah, even though the numbers might say like it's a 12 vert, 13 horizontal run, and you're like, well, that's a booty pitch. Like that thing should get smacked. It's all relative to arm slot and approach angle, and even like release side can have a play in that if you have like a little bit more cut or a little bit more run. So for me, it's like, okay, if I can consistently get that around 10 to 12, even though that's considered not great vert, for me, if that is above in the top third of the zone or above, it should play well.
Yeah, I agree. And then for you, Grant, obviously, like I know four seam's always been your thing. We've never really had to adjust that much. Kick change, you got to get a feel. Kind of talk about your more like evolution of you can show the kick change. Also show like when it is at its best and when it's at worst, because we talk about sometimes like the finger, like the little adjustments there, and then talk about the slider adjustments too.
Well, now I go across this seam because it was this last year, but like you said, like the vert would be kind of like high sometimes. So like to try to consistently get it lower, like moved it a little bit across the ball, and then which has honestly enabled me to spike it a little bit more with these fingers because last year it was definitely more of like a baby spike, and then now it's like we're spiking it a little bit more, so it's like right here, and then it's just like there's really no pronation. It's just like staying on top, and then it's going to come off his finger, and it's just going to spin sideways.
Yeah, and I think that's something too, like with the kick change, because it's very popularized right now. That everybody thinks that they can throw and want to throw it. It is something to where my personal opinion is like you either have the feel for it very quickly or you don't. There's never really one or the other. Like you picked it up very fast. It's like if you are trying out a kick change, you put a couple grips and like you mess around with different levels of spike, and you immediately start spraying it arm side or spiking it. You can pretty much very quickly like delete it out of like the options. But it's something that's like very, I won't even say feel based. It just like either feels comfortable or it doesn't, and you throw it or you don't. But it's like I think two people try it though, and they'll try for months. It's like, dude, like, you keep spraying it, you keep spiking it. Like that's not something that can play in a game, no matter if you get the -5 to it, you know. But no, talk about sliders.
Funny story with the kick change. When I was at Toledo, I could not figure out like a change up, and at one point I was throwing a 4-seam kick change. So it was like this. It was spiked on this, and there was a couple that were pretty good, but there was also some that it didn't. At one point, I was experimenting, and then the coach, because you have whatever the wristwatches,
PitchCom, whatever,
PitchCom, and he put change up on there, and I was like, oh sweet, he's gonna let me throw like the one I've been working on. He wanted me to throw the other change up because I think I was throwing like a splitter.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I threw my change up that I've been working on, and the hitter hit it 400 feet over the fence, and it like didn't move. And then I told him, and he was so mad because he just put change up like throw the one you always throw, and I read it as oh sweet, he's got confidence in me, and I gave up a nuke first batter of the game. And then I didn't, like, that was the only run I gave up. So then he's mad. He's like, we would have had a shutout if you would have just thrown the right pitch. I'm like, my bad.
That's hilarious. Now talk about the little adjustments to the slider.
Yeah.
You had like the super small guy. Just kind of show him like what it used to be, just like how you've kind of manipulated it, etc.
So by the end of the year last year, it was labeled a sweeper, but I think since like I was a starter, by the end of the outing, it just was slow enough that it was a sweeper, but really it was a slider to start the game. And it was like, this is how it was. And I had like the finger on like the side, and it pretty much would be like more of a gyro slider.
Yeah.
And then this, like they wanted a little bit more horizontal. So like we're trying to make it a sweeper.
Yep.
And so I just kind of dropped the thumb and then kind of took the middle finger a little bit higher to like catch that seam. And then just kind of the same thing. Like when you say like you throw it like a curveball from the side,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's almost like sometimes thinking like curveball with it, so it's gonna get that depth.
Yeah.
But it's still a battle. We'll have our days where some days it'll be over 10, and then some days it'll be like 2.
Yeah.
So
And the days that are 2, you got some running involved.
yeah,
too.
those I think sometimes the consequence pens make it worse.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to execute it, and then it's like it's 4, and I'll dot the pitch, and then you'll just circle your hand around.
Get
And
running.
just for context for y'all, if like Grant, we talked about like the consequence pins, and the idea of this off season being so like heavily focused on making sure that execution is always staying like the top priority. Because like ran his fastball up to 97 this season, kick change was good, slider, whatever. So it's like he would throw, like I said, the goal was slider be 6-7 plus, and we were doing like 80 plus, and it was like respecting execution, right? If it was a good executed pitch, it's like, okay, awesome. But if the metrics weren't there, it's like, hey, you had a lap. And we would talk about it after the bullpen's like, dude, that was a really good bullpen. But still, like, the main goal wasn't necessarily hit. So it's like, you're going to have to run for it. And it's like, not something where we're killing him running, but like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you've had quite a few laps sometimes.
Yeah.
But
I had the one pen, and it was probably top pen I've ever thrown.
Yeah.
And I was so mad because I had to run 6 laps around the building.
Yep.
And it's it's a little cold in Charlotte, so, and I don't have a sweatshirt to run in, so I'm running outside 7 laps, 32 degrees out, just pissed. And it's like, but no, I actually had a great pen, but you would never think that because I'm running around the building.
So you had switched schools. I've switched schools, and I've also now switched orgs once. What has been the thing that's kept you like training with tread? Like what has stood out to you that made you kept coming back year in and year out?
It's just, I mean, really just the progress. Like each year just kind of getting better, and then like a good relationship with my coach, and like he knows how to push me too. Because that's the thing I think with coaching is like you need to find someone that's going to help you get better.
Yep.
And everyone kind of gets better in their own type of way. And like he knows how to make me better. So it's like this is perfect, so it can evolve each year.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, I did it from 2022 is my last school year with Liberty, and obviously don't get signed. I come straight here. My coach at Liberty, who he had a connection with Cohen at some point, so he was like super positive and like, hey, like look, there's not too many better places in the area on the East Coast to like go get an opportunity to throw in a pro day, get hands-on coaching with you. And he was like, basically, I think it's a good idea for you. So shout out Matt Williams is at Coastal Carolina now. He's their pitching coach. So they had a big year.
He knows what he's doing then,
Yeah. So I come train at Tread and basically prep for the pro day. And basically, it was really cool to get just another set of eyes on me in the first place. Like regardless of anything else, a new set of eyes that's now with you throughout the season and in contact with you. When sometimes pro ball coaches, like their hands are a little tied with what they can say and how much they can really dive in with you, as well as there's 150 of 160 of you. There's a lot of people to keep track of. So sometimes that hands-on training and maybe that video breakdown type of stuff that you might need to get yourself back on track is just not available. So that was for me. Like I obviously signed up that first year, get signed, and I was using Tread throughout the season. Kind of just like realized like it's actually less coaching going on in pro ball than I expected, and it's really nice to have somebody that I can reach out to. Yeah. So for me, I don't know if you felt the same way, but of kind of just knowing that I've got somebody like almost like the corner man in the ring, the boxing ring of like, okay, if I need, I've got somebody who isn't part of my organization who can use their expertise and even bounce ideas off of all the coaches that are here, the data team and whatnot to see what can get me back on track. So that, along with just like obviously the facility's sick and being here throughout the off seasons for now, this is my 4th off season at Tread, I think, or it would be my 4th. Just realizing that like there's not too many places that can offer what is here.
Yeah.
And where are you both originally from?
From Michigan, originally.
Michigan.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Some cold states.
Yeah, and then finding your way down to Charlotte in the off season.
Oh yeah.
So I am curious from both of y'all's standpoints is, like you said, I think what you said about the in-season stuff is very valuable when it's needed. Sometimes like you don't need anything, but like having that somebody in the corner can help. I am curious though, like what was your preconceived notions going into Tread, right? Like obviously this is years ago, but like what did you expect comparatively to like what you actually received? Was it the same? Was it different? I'm just kind of curious from both of y'all sides.
I gotta think about that.
Yeah, so I mean, mine originally, I had only known tread from my coach that had told me, and one of our athletes at Liberty who had did tread for like a couple months, and then I think he just kind of fizzled out with it. He didn't quite do it, which was more on him than it was anything else. So my only ideas behind it were it's a place where pitchers go to either throw harder, get better, and try to be a pro. So I was pumped for it. Obviously, as a college student, it was quite a bit of a commitment to sign up for it, and kind of dive into the fact that okay, like it is an expensive thing to get into, but it's also my career that I'm talking about, so it's inevitably going to be worth it if you can make it happen. And so I kind of came into it with the expectations of I hope they give me some insight that maybe I haven't heard before, or can push me in a way that maybe I haven't been pushed before. And for me, even since that first year into now, is like maintaining weight, maintaining strength, and things like that has been some of my biggest things that I've had to dive into. And luckily, there's like the strength staff here and like Nancy and now many of the coaches who are now at the same kind of level of like have a really good expertise of the strength and conditioning side, things like that, just like pushing me in a way that. Yes, like at Liberty, we were working out hard and we're like trying to get better, but inevitably you're trying to win games. Yep. You're trying to win games at any means necessary. And here, getting ready for Pro Bowl, it's kind of like, okay, there's no games to win. I'm here. I'm not even on a team anymore. Mm-hmm. So the goal was simply get as good as we can possibly get in as quick as we possibly can because I need to try to play Pro Bowl. So the expectations were met because I didn't have a ton other than I just hope I feel like I'm getting better. And I did feel like I was getting better when I was here. And then that led to, I guess the other expectation was once I got into season, I'm now with the Giants in spring training, I'm seeing that there's literally countless staff members everywhere. And I'm sure you probably had a similar experience. Like you get there and there's 80 billion coaches, there's all these players, and I'm thinking like, do I really even need tread anymore, to be honest with you? Like that was like the first thing that kind of comes into my head. And my first season at Pro Bowl went really smoothly, where like there wasn't really many hiccups mechanically. Stuff never really had a dip. Had a good year first year in San Jose, which you did as well in your first year. So like for me, it was kind of almost like leaning towards that thing of like maybe I was right, maybe I don't need tread in season. But then like as I started to get a little bit older and start to have my third, fourth seasons in Pro Bowl, and you do run into hiccups and you do run into things where like you really wish you had somebody that you could reach out to, and that kind of made you realize it's almost like you can do a lot of things to prevent things from going bad, but at the end of the day, like if you don't have insurance on your car and you get into a car accident, like you're going to really wish you had insurance. And tread in a way is kind of like you do all these things in the off season to prep for your season and to make sure that things are going to go right. Inevitably, things are going to go wrong. There's going to be something that happens in your career, whether it be injury, just stuff's not playing the way it used to. And it's a really assuring feeling to know that you can reach out to a coach whose literally job is to make sure that you're on top of your game.
Yeah. What do you got for that? Because I have some thoughts, but I want to hear your side of things too.
Like why I joined tread?
Like joining it, some of
at the time,
preconceived notions, like heading into Pro Bowl. I know Dylan hit on a lot of things. Just like for you, expectations versus reality. Let's keep it like that simple.
I mean, at the time, like I just wanted to get better. Like I just wanted to play.
Yeah.
So like I signed up, and then because I needed all the information to like just be a better athlete, be a better pitcher, and then pretty much got all the information and then didn't really speak because, I mean, front hand, I'm not a huge communicator on the phone. Mm-hmm. I'm like, it's always funny when you talk about when I came in house for the first time because you were like, this guy like doesn't speak to me.
100%.
And then you met him, you're like, oh, he's actually not that bad of a guy. He just literally will not text me at all.
Literally, though. Yeah. Like, I'll never forget that first year, like same idea, like the boy's coming up for re-sign. He not a great experience at Virginia Tech, but like barely talked to me. And then he's like, he throws in the summer showcase, and like I said, signs with Toledo. And I was like, do I really even want to like push him to like keep going? I remember like thinking that in my head. I was like, he doesn't care, not that much. Like I was like, once I talked to him, I was like, okay, like there's something there. He just doesn't like to really communicate outside of it. But I'd never forget. I was like, Grant, I was like, are you sure you like want to do this? He's like, yeah, like I was like, okay. But like learning him, obviously, but it was very tough through the first 6-7 months where I'll never forget, I was helping coach some random like fall team, right? And I probably had him maybe a couple months at that time. Yeah. And I'm like, I messaged him like, hey dude, like I'd love to meet you. Or they were playing at Virginia Tech. Yeah. I was like, come stop by. And then he's like, oh yeah, for sure. And then something happens on the weekend, doesn't come. And I was like, this freaking guy, dude. I was like, what is he doing?
It was a Sunday in the fall.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
That's too funny.
It is what it is. But like that progression was like, okay, you have to, I think you said it really well. And like you said too, like getting what you need out of it and being able to like buy in. It's like a lot of people sign up thinking that we are like as coaches just going to be this like magic pill. Right, but like it's like a huge first couple minutes. Like if you don't communicate with your coach, if you don't give them like information, like I hopped on an initial call this morning. I told him I was like, hey, your program's done, but this is literally 50% of like what is actually going. This gives you your structure, but like the communication and everything else is what actually is going to get you better. And like getting people to understand that. It was like I'm surprised both y'all had that. Like, yeah, I just want to get better, and it's like, okay, well, how do I get better? Like I have to communicate. I have to be able to get the feedback to your coach. And it's just like cool to see like what can happen when you do buy in, right? It's like that's the piece of it. Is like you have to sell out for long periods of time to in reality, like I mean, you neither one of them, I think have like reached remotely your ceiling, but it's like you're starting to push at it instead of feeling like, dude, I just feel like I'm like the same pitcher that I was last year. And the minute you have that, 50, 100,000 pitchers are getting better than you. Yeah, that'd be the worst feeling in the world to have. Yeah, like I remember that when I was playing any ball, like every year. I just want to feel like I'm getting better. If I feel that, it's like, okay, I can keep progressing, and who knows what can happen from there.
Well, especially with the new, which getting used to the minor league format of the offseason where now there's this dead period where you're technically not in contact with your organizations unless you reach out. And it literally goes from like Thanksgiving until New Year's where you're literally just in the black, and like you can reach out if you need to, if something was to go wrong or if you really needed something to help with. But most of the orgs, it's pretty much a blank period. You're not hearing from anybody. And even without the dead period, the off season in pro ball is so much more hands off for most orgs than I think people realize. There's some organizations I know I've heard that are more diligent and not even necessarily that it's a good or bad thing, but just more on top of what's going on. Whereas most orgs like the White Sox and the Giants, you hit the off season and there's a few check-ins here and there, like, hey, want to make sure things are going good, but you're on your own. I know plenty of teammates that off season hits, they go home and they're on vacation for 2 months, and they go to the beach, they go like on these resorts, and they're starting to pick up a ball around December, and it's like, but at the end of the day, like that's up to them. Like there's nothing holding you to go train in the off seasons to do anything that you I guess don't want to do.
There's no like actual accountability from an org standpoint.
Now obviously there's going to be some consequences if you show up in spring training and you look like a dumpy piece of crap and can't throw the ball. But at the end of the day, like having somewhere like this in the off season during the dead period, a coach who's with you all the time if you're here and or connectable at all times if you're at home is just a huge thing for pro and college, because college is a similar way. If you go home for like your winter break of college, I remember
they give you that little plan.
Yeah, you get that. Make sure you're throwing bullpens in these days, but that's it. They don't have the ability to be in contact with all 30 guys and make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I think from college and on, even high school winter break, I mean, I remember I don't think I threw half the time in winter break in high school. You'd go on your break, it's Christmas time, and oh shoot, we have tryouts in a week when we get back, and I haven't thrown a baseball. I
don't even think I threw.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I picked up a baseball after basketball. Like,
it was
right
just
after
done. So I think like literally, I was thinking about it from like a pro perspective, but looking back, it really is like all levels. There's this gap in the off season where you really are on your own, and having somebody that can, kind of push you ahead if you need it, or if you're the one that's diligent and being on top of your career, like somebody to be right there with you as diligent as you are about making sure you're getting better in a period where really there's no obligation to other than your own will.
And I mean, I agree with that too. And I think like going off that, I kind of look at it from a different perspective of in professional baseball at this point, like you're getting paid to play. So it's like, yeah, my job is on the line. Like I'm getting, it's like I need to be prepared for that next season, regardless of anybody's telling me what I should or shouldn't be doing. It's obviously a little bit different in college and high school, but like when I think of that, like the dead period, it's like, yeah, you're getting paid to play. They expect you to be on your stuff. Whether they give you something or not, they expect you to be better than what you were heading into it, or from the end of season heading into the spring training. And it's like, if you're not, then like that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it's so interesting just hearing it from an athlete's standpoint and like seeing like commonalities for me. Like I graduated college in 2015, high school in 2011 when none of this was around. And like I said, like you either had guys who figured it out or they didn't. And it was like, and half of it was very much just like it kind of throwing on the wall and seeing what sticks. But like now the talent pool is so much better. It's like you better be on you, or like you are not going to be where you want to be long term wise, in my like opinion of it. You know,
I mean, there's high schoolers training in here, you know, and like we were saying, like you didn't even have a plan when you're in winter break high school. Like I didn't pick up a baseball until I was done basketball season, and now we have kids that are training here 12 months a year in high school.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's just going to keep elevating for in my mind, the athletes that are willing to put in the time and effort.
Yeah.
And the ones in reality, like those are the guys that like, I don't know how hard you threw in high school, but it's like if you were the 83, 85 mile an hour guy in high school, it's like that does not mean that you cannot be the 90 plus guy or any type of evolution off of yourself, like year to year, if you just know exactly what you're trying to accomplish with it. And really, like as a coach, like giving them that plan of attack and like kind of the communication piece of it. Because like remote setting is very different than in person. It's easier in person to get things done. I think the value of in person here, obviously quicker feedback loops for y'all, but also, like you said, the relationship building to where then when you are away, he's not just a coach. Like, I don't think you view me as like just a coach. You know what I mean? It's like, I can talk to him about whether it be baseball stuff or also like mechanics, et cetera, are only like a small piece of like what is going on into performing on the field. You could have live stuff happen. You could have all this other stuff. It is nice to have that just somebody in the background that you know that like, dude, they got my back. Like they're only like their thought process only like, how can I help you be the best possible in any kind of facet?
Yeah.
You know?
I think too, like with the remote stuff, it leans so much more on how much the player actually wants it.
For sure.
It's really easy when you're in house to come in and show face and like work hard when your coach is standing there watching you do it. Yep. But like, like if you're somebody who signs up and you're doing it remote, it'll weed out, and I'm sure the coaches feel it
1,000%.
Immediately. You can almost get a vibe of like, okay, this guy really wants it and this guy doesn't really want it, and I'm sure the outcomes also are pretty drastic and who improves and who doesn't.
100%.
Guys who don't answer probably have it a little harder.
Yeah, right.
It's funny, I was definitely in that, this guy's not gonna make it, it's just gonna be down.
Well, I remember I remember thinking about it and I was like, dude, he has like so much potential. Like he refuses to tap into it.
Yep.
But it's always like, as a coach, it's like, and I tell guys like I said, ghost you for maybe 2 to 3 months and you're still like trying to check in on and be with him. It's like, you don't have to be perfect, right? You can have your little bits of failure, but as long as you come back and you show me that like you're locked in, dialed in, it's like, then nothing ever changes on my side. Like the principle is the same. Like I want to help you, but like you also have to want to help yourself, and I can't do that for you. Yeah. You know. But they have the high school, or like not high school, but like the in-person stuff is funny because like I had a call this morning. Like within the first weeks, half the time within the first phone call of like, is this guy locked in, or in reality like, are the parents just paying for it, hoping that like he gets better? Yeah. And it's so one-to-one, and like the progress of it too is so drastically different.
Yeah, and it goes down to like of the classic saying of like there's always somebody working harder, and it's like you're taking those right steps. You're signing up for a program that's going to help you get better. There's coaches that are literally their only job is to try to help you get better and to benefit your career. And then it's like, can you yourself push the gas? Like you're in the car, you're ready to go, but can you push the gas and actually start doing the training and doing everything you're supposed to be doing? And that's what I think it's a unique experience to be able to do that in a remote setting like this with Tread. And there's so many now remote coaches that are doing it across the country. But it's like finding one that is trustworthy, finding one that you can reach out to and they're actually going to respond. I've heard horror stories of like guys finding a remote coach that they try to reach out to and it's like, hey, I haven't heard from him in 2 weeks. And it's like, now the player's sitting there going, I haven't heard from him, which is kind of not how that's supposed to work. So, just like finding, it's a place where, you're hoping that you have somebody that you're going to be in contact with and they're going to want to contact you, as well as it's literally the ball's in your court of they're giving you the tools and giving the ability to get better. Seize it, take it.
You're the one that has to do it.
Yeah.
1,000%. Yeah. Okay. Well, off of that, I know we talked about this before it started. Give me some, I know y'all are only in Kannapolis for like a week maybe together.
Winston-Salem.
Winston-Salem. Oh, Winston-Salem for a week. Yeah. What was the little trivia thing? Or like, what's some like good little locker room stuff in there?
It's a long season, and I'll let Grant explain how he went from the player side of it. But I love doing daily trivia, so I just do like 5 random daily trivia questions, completely random. Sometimes off the dome, sometimes I'd use some inspiration from Google. And Grant got there and experienced the last week of daily trivia for the season. I probably did like I probably did like 80 days worth of daily trivia.
Did that really get the guys through the long season?
Of course. The days that I wouldn't do it, like my pitching days, they would like genuinely be upset. They're like there's no trivia today? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's like, dude, we gotta get ready.
Just little things like that. I feel like you kind of have to have something like to, make the days not so mundane. Because like it's obviously the baseball itself is as fun as it can be. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't have a ton of fun doing it. But there is downtime. There's a lot of downtime, and you got to find your ways to kind of have some camaraderie with your teammates and have some fun and poke fun at the guys who get 0 out of 5 and poke fun at the guys who have some stupid answers to some trivia questions. But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
No, it was nice for me. Like I was there for a week, so it was a nice way of like an icebreaker, like getting like meeting guys because like I didn't really know any of like a lot of the teammates.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I'm not very good at trivia. I learned that in 1 week.
That's so funny. What was y'all's? Because obviously we know like we get that one off day. Like, what would y'all's off day look like in the middle of a season when you're playing every other day?
They were pretty chill for me. I kind of like to decompress. I'm not a big like go out and do things on the day. I know I've got teammates that are like, oh, I'm gonna go on a hike on the Monday, or I'm gonna go out and drive somewhere that I haven't been. I typically like to find a good restaurant in the area.
Okay.
Go try a place that I haven't tried before. I love some sushi, so Winston-Salem had a couple sushi spots I'd go try. Try out a new food spot, hang out, play some video games, and just kind of decompress for the day. A lot of the times, unfortunately, it's a travel day, so there are a lot of times where you're traveling on that day, which luckily we had some sleeper buses where we just kind of laid back and relaxed. So
I feel like you're the guy that brings like the console on the road for sure.
Oh, 100%. Not on the bus. I'm not playing on the bus, but at the hotel room for sure.
What's the game of choice?
It rotates, but it always goes back to my core of Rainbow Six Siege. Tactical shooter. Yeah, it's my favorite game of all time. So play a lot of that game.
What about you, Grant?
I'm like a moving target in shooting video games. That's my role.
You a Rocket League guy?
No, I'll play Madden. I've been playing Madden 20. Like I don't feel like paying for the new one, so I've been playing Madden 20 for like 6 years now.
That's sick. That is sick.
Yeah. That's what you do on the off days? Just
no, that's not the off day. That's just video games.
Oh, okay.
I know the off day, like I'm hanging out, chilling. Like we'll go to like a coffee shop in the morning and stuff like that. Get food. Like earlier in the year, you want to do stuff, and then you get it's a long season, so you get halfway through, and you're like, I don't want to get out of bed today. I'm good.
I want to sleep in.
Yeah, I want to chill.
That makes sense. So you played basketball.
Yeah, I played basketball.
You're a hooper. You're a shooter. What's your archetype?
I was a little bit of a point forward my last year.
Okay.
Yeah. I had a kid's dad. He used to call me the big fundamental.
The big fundamental.
Yeah, the big fundamental.
I feel like that's kind of a backhanded compliment of like that's all you've got is the fundamentals and your big size.
Yeah, not athletic at all.
Well, my dad played college basketball, so like I had a bunch of knowledge like growing up and stuff like that, and I was pretty good.
Yeah.
But like I went to a bigger public school, so once dudes are like really like trying to make basketball their sport, I was like, all right, I was a handshake guy my junior year. I was there for the vibes.
Handshake guy.
I had a couple. I think I got a couple texts from the bench chirping refs.
Okay.
I was good at it. Yeah.
You got texts on the bench.
Yeah.
That's
Coach was not very happy that day. But
that's too funny.
Handle the rock, pass well. I'm streaky shooter.
Okay.
Like we're talking, I'm going 5 or 5, or I'm going 0 for 7.
Yeah,
like,
that's fair.
It's one or the other.
That's crazy. I feel like that's the typical like baseball shooting archetype is the streaky like athleticism. Like you'll have strokes of like genius where it's just like, wow, this is so buttery good. Smooth, and I've never been a better shooter in my life.
Sure.
And then there's an 0 for 20 streak where you're like, I don't know how to shoot a basketball. I played basketball my first couple of years of high school, and then kind of similar, but I went to a really large high school, and we were near the Flint area where it was a really good basketball area, and I was a late bloomer, so I was like not getting any taller, not getting any bigger, and everyone around me was starting to be 6'5", 6'6", playing basketball, and I'm like, yeah,
this isn't gonna play
anymore. Not it.
But
it was kind of funny, like now being taller and like filling it out, I still enjoy playing some basketball here and there, and finally be able to slam down the dunks that I couldn't do when I was younger. But can you dunk? Are you a dunker? Can you dunk?
I've dunked 5 times in my life.
He's counted.
Yeah,
he's counted.
All in game? Or
no, none in game. None in game. But one of them's a body in tryouts. Senior year. Yes, we had like, it was like a dunk. I love the drill, obviously, because I caught a body in it. But you like had 2 people standing the elbows, and the coach will just throw the person the ball, and then it's like a contested layup.
Yeah.
So I cheated the drill. I was like, I'm playing like they're giving me the ball. So like I already had the steps like ready to go, and he throws it my way, and I'm already 1-2, and I just rise up. It's like 5'9" kid.
Oh,
Yeah, it's like
jeez.
like he played soccer. He's like, and he's a senior too. So he's like, I just want to try to make the team.
Yeah.
And he decided to jump, and I was bouncy that day, and I dunked.
I was bouncing.
I
that
dunked
day.
on
That's
him.
hilarious.
Do you ever go to Ramblewood and shoot?
Ramblewood?
Yeah.
No, I've never gone there. I'm a big YMCA guy. YMCA member, so I go and shoot around every once in a while and just try to. Basically, it's actually kind of funny. The dunking is like a good check of like where I'm at with like weight and like strength. It's like if I can dunk easily, it's like, all right, we're in a good spot. We're in a good spot. We're springy. We're springy.
If you get stuck by the rim, it's like
Yeah. We don't
haven't
get stuck by
recovered
the
as
rim.
well.
I'm
Haven't
not getting
recovered
stuck
as
by the
well.
rim.
Yeah. Okay. Here's a good question because, like I said, both of y'all have been here for multiple off seasons now.
Yeah.
What's the best and worst like story of the off season or like of being in Charlotte?
Okay.
I know you got a couple good ones.
I was gonna say I've got some like almost negative things that are big stories, but do you have any first before I say?
What do you mean, like negative?
Just like experiences in Charlotte that like it doesn't have to be bad. Like, he just has like a bad one from like
It
in
was
general, like just like a good time. Like you did something here that you might not have done in PA or like something similar. The off season might be short, but it's still like long when you're training every day. Like what have you done to kind of like give yourself a little bit of like mental break, anything like that? Like anything just like not typical like going to the movies or like have you done anything interesting?
Well, I think what's like being here is when there's like two big like storms, and just seeing people like react to that, I think is hilarious. Like being from someone up north, I think it's like hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't get groceries. Like they thought, I think the people in Charlotte thought the world was gonna like ice over.
Like last week,
Like yeah, like 2 weeks
Nothing in the
ago.
stores
Because
for
it's
2
like I'm
weeks.
like, where's all the bread? Like there's no water, there's no
random
bread.
things that
Yeah,
they take.
I'm like, why is there's cereal but there's no granola? Like what are people
Yeah.
doing? And then it just nothing.
Nothing.
It iced one day and then it was completely fine. I'm like, well, people got enough food in for one day. I can tell you that.
Tell me the bad one. I want to hear about
So,
this.
what was this? It would have been 24?
I think it's 24.
Yeah, 24. Was coming into tread. I had a bullpen. And stopped at a McDonald's for some hotcakes in the morning, as one does sometimes when you're craving a little McDonald's hotcake, and got robbed at gunpoint and lost my car. So ended up getting a
I
ride.
heard this story?
No, I've never heard this.
Yeah. So got robbed at gunpoint, and they take my car. My phone and wallet are in the car. So I run into the McDonald's, like begging for a phone. Like, hey, I need a phone. I need to make a call to the police. Police end up getting there, and like a couple hours goes by, like trying to track down the car. They ended up like pinging it on the highway a couple times, going like northwest, but ended up losing it. And they were like, hey, can I take you like home? Like, we'll drive you to wherever you need to go, somewhere within the city. And I was like, honestly, like, there's no point in me going home. I got a bullpen that I was supposed to get to like an hour ago. I said, if you want, you can just drop me off at the facility. And so I get a police escort to tread, and I walk in, and it was actually funny. One of our coaches here is a good friend of mine from Liberty. So I was going to get his phone number to the police officer so he could contact me if he needed to. Mm-hmm. And so we go in, and we walk in, and obviously my buddy's like, what are you walking in with a cop for? And the cop even makes a joke of like, oh, like your buddy got into a pretty bad bar fight, and we're all like, like laughing about it. Mm-hmm. And he goes, no, but in reality, like your buddy got robbed at gunpoint and lost his car. And my friend who works here was like, oh, okay, yeah, like what's the real story? And we're like, no, actually, like need to get your phone number because I don't have a phone right now. It's currently in transit to wherever this armed robber is going. So lost my car. Threw my bullpen after that. I used my coach's glove and threw a bullpen. It was actually a pretty solid bullpen.
Was that a good pen?
Yeah, it was solid. Adrenaline was pumping a little bit. But yeah, that was one of the crazier things that's happened to me in my life. But yeah, honestly, like obviously it was a scary thing at the time, but more so just kind of like a wild experience, and came through a bullpen.
And you still threw a bullpen.
Didn't let it affect my day one bit. Basically told myself like I'm not gonna let this guy ruin my bullpen, ruin my off season. So yeah, went through my bullpen, and actually I think Ben made a tweet about it too, which caught some traction, and John Boy and ESPN picked it up, and like they were posting about it and made articles. Yeah, it was viral for a couple days of just like people going like Giants minor leaguer robbed at gunpoint in Charlotte, North Carolina. So yeah, that was quite the experience.
The theme of that is don't go to McDonald's, get hotcakes.
Correct.
Go to a local cafe place and get some good breakfast.
Exactly.
That's what that.
And
That's
you know what?
I hear.
And you know what? The only reason I even went there that day, I had never been to this McDonald's ever.
Is it the one?
It's
off
on
of
Tyvola.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm coming in. I had never stopped on this road ever, but I had just had Waffle House like twice earlier that week, and I was like, I really don't want to triple dip into Waffle House in the same week. And I'm like, but I need something. And I was kind of in a hurry to get there. And I was like, McDonald's will be fine. Like, it'll be fine.
You
The
know what
hotcakes
also
aren't
is
bad.
right off that Tyvola? Costco.
Costco is off
Where
that
the drops are.
Yes.
Back to Pokemon. It's where the drops are.
The drops at Costco.
Full circle.
Yeah,
Full circle
back,
Back to
yeah.
that. Back to that.
Could have got a glizzy from Costco instead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chicken bake.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've never
bakes
had
are
it from
fire.
there.
You've ever
It's
seen the people take the hot dog and they put the hot dog in the chicken bake? It's
No.
a real big back move.
That sounds
but
foul. That sounds foul.
Sounds disgusting.
It honestly looks decent.
Have
I'm
you-
not
have you
gonna
never
lie.
tried
I've
it?
never done it.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
No.
You double chocolate chunk cookie guy?
No, see, I'm an oatmeal raisin guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
In a rare club, but I'll take down some oatmeal raisin cookies.
Oh, raisins gas.
Yeah. So a lot of people don't. They're like raisins
That has to be
and cookies.
good, like soft, warm
True.
oatmeal
Yeah.
raisin.
Yeah.
not
There
like
could definitely
the-
be a bad oatmeal raisin cookie.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't think I've ever ran into a bad oatmeal raisin cookie.
Dude just loves oatmeal
Yeah,
raisins.
they're just good.
Oh my god. Well, off of all that, I guess last thing I would ask is just from both of y'all's standpoint, anything that you would like tell us. It could be a pro guy, a college guy that like might be interested in the whole tread stuff. Like, what little piece of advice would you give just any athlete that might be considering being a part of this?
Yeah. I mean, I'd say number one, it's something that we said earlier, but just to overall sum it up is buy in. Like, buy in with your career. It's something you really want to do. So if you're signing up for something like this, or if you're considering it, kind of look into the mirror of going like, is this something that I really want? Is this something that's attainable? And you've got to kind of shoot for it. You can't. You're not going to reach a goal that less than 1% of athletes get to by half anything or thinking that you can just coast through it and just rely on athleticism or just your own personal training. So I mean, there's a reason why thousands of athletes sign up for training facilities. There's a reason why professional level coaching is such a big market. Buy in 100%.
I love that. What about you, Grant?
Yeah. I would just say, like, ask questions, like figure out why you do certain things. Like, once you can figure out why you do literally everything that I'll do in a day, like if you can have someone that can tell you why to do it, then like it becomes a lot easier to get better, because it's like you can buy in, like you said, if you actually know like why you're doing the things that you do.
I think that's absolutely like beautiful. Like that idea of, I think sometimes it's lacking when you just think, I guess most athletes, like I said, they think that we just have all these magic answers for them, but it's like that curiosity piece is in my mind also where like such of the individualization comes from.
Yeah.
Like you ask these questions, it's like, it may or may not be the answers that you expected, but like, at least like I know as a coach is like, oh, this guy, he wants like to figure all this stuff out. And it's like, when I see that and I hear that, I'm like, oh, he's got it,
Yeah.
But like when I hear it's like, get a video and it's just, what you think? And I'm like, give me some context. I always say like, give me some context. Like,
Yeah.
What did you think about this? Give me this and that.
Yep.
That's beautiful. I think that's pretty good. Appreciate y'all's time. And once again, Chase Cunningham, Triathletics Performance Coach, Dylan Cumming, White Sox legend, Umberger, White Sox legend. Thank y'all for your time, and thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank
Good talk.
you.
Good talk, guys.
Yeah.